Hi everyone, I just wanted to come on today and talk a bit about what is OCD and what it is not. It's often a misunderstood mental health condition because it's characterized by symptoms of unpleasant thoughts and repetitive behaviors that you can't control, or it seems that you can't control. The problem is with OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, is it's often downplayed by the media. I think, we're all used to hearing people saying, I'm so OCD, I like things in a particular way. I like everything to be clean and tidy, and it's used a lot. We like I say, we all probably remember someone saying that. We may have even used it ourselves, But then for people that do actually have OCD and they recognize that they suffer from that, it's hard because people don't really understand the complexities of it. I don't blame anyone for not understanding because, like I say, it's out there. People, the media probably don't help with this thing, but I can't hold that against anyone. It's not anyone's fault, But I think videos like this and other people's that explain it in more detail, it's great for people that may suffer from it themselves and they don't really know what it is, or maybe you have a loved one or friend that's going through something like this and you recognize, the things we're talking about. So it's good to have that knowledge out there that people can go and look at, but it all raises awareness of what OCD actually is. And in fact, it's been ranked by WHO, the World Health Organization, as one of the top 10 most debilitating disorders or illnesses, I think among all illnesses. So it just kind of gives a bit of a clue there. It's difficult, for anyone going through this. It's really hard. And I think unless you've been there, you don't really, or you've witnessed someone you love go through it, or it's really hard to kind of grasp how hard it is for people, It's often thought that OCD is quite difficult to treat, and that may seem to the sufferer like, yeah, I can't break out of this cycle. But what it is important to remember is there is help available. Don't ever think, I can't get rid of this, or I can't function again normally. Because when it gets to that level where you can't function and, you're getting really distressed by it, there are treatments available, effective therapy, whether it be CBT or which personally I didn't find it that helpful for my OCD. I don't know, everyone's different, and that's the thing. It's just finding the thing that works for you. I know the gold standard with obsessive-compulsive disorder is exposure and response prevention. And I think I did do that with my psychologist at one point. I'm looking back because they never really told me what I was doing in terms of which therapy I was doing. I knew about the CBT one, but when I got to the OCD psychologist, as the disorder progressed, and they never really told me what I was doing. But I think when I look back now I know more about it, I think I did exposure response prevention, and it does work. But like I say, it's sticking with what you're supposed to do, and that's always going to be the hardest part, but it does work. And the same for me. I know for most part I've done metacognitive therapy with my psychologist, which I'm going to talk more in detail in another video, but that really worked for me. And it's something I'd like to talk about more because it's not one I hear often used within the OCD community. It's not something I think I've heard it's used for anxiety and depression, but OCD I'm not so sure about. But it was used for me by my psychologist, and it really did help me. So it's something I'd like to talk more about. But there's also medication. There's lots of medication used to treat OCD. Myself, I've been on different medication throughout the years. Some have worked better than others. Again, I'm going to do a video explaining more about that because I think People are often scared of taking medication, but in my case, it definitely helped me. But I don't think it's the cure-all for obsessive-compulsive disorder or anxiety. It works well alongside the therapy, so whether that be ERP, metacognitive therapy, CBT, it works well alongside that. And that's what I found. I think the combination of the two work really well. So there's lots of options available. So if you're feeling defeated, please don't, you can get better. And I know how hard it is. I know that feeling of, I'm just going to be living like this forever. And it's just, it's overwhelming. It really is. And I felt like that many times, but I think in the last year or two, really, I've kind of looked more towards being kinder to myself and being, just hearing that inner voice kind of going, no, it's okay. It's okay. I might be feeling anxious, or, I might be going down the rabbit hole of an OCD trigger or thought, but I'm kind to myself, and I think that's helped a lot. So I'll be like, no, it's okay. Take a deep breath. I can do this. And that has actually attributed to me, I think, getting better, because I did have quite a bad experience after my last daughter, which is, I really want to get into that, because I think OCD in the perinatal and postpartum period can intensify, especially if it's something that you've suffered with in the past. And I think it can really rear its head again. And I'd like to talk a lot more about that, because it's probably been the two times that I've been at my worst and kind of at the lowest point, I think. And yeah, I'm going to be getting into that more in the coming weeks. And it'll be a good thing to share with you, and maybe share some of my experiences in that time of my life when I was pregnant and after the pregnancy, So, and it'd be interesting to hear what you think as well, and how it's affected you, if OCD is something you've suffered with, or maybe it just appeared in pregnancy or after pregnancy, because like you say, I've had it since being a small child. I remember clearly those thoughts I was getting as a 5-year-old. So, but then I've heard other people just kind of getting it later in life. It can affect women, men, children. It's, it doesn't hold back. It's everyone. So, and at all stages. So yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to going into, because I think it'll be important to share, because pregnancy and postpartum after a baby, it's a really challenging time, and it can really, these things can really affect you, mentally, mental health. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into that with you guys. So OCD, what is it? OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, is a mental health condition that can affect, as I've just said, women, men, and children of all ages. It features often unwanted thoughts, repetitive thoughts, images, urges. The commonly used phrase is, what if? What if I did this? What if this happens? It's so, you hear so many people talking about OCD, the what if scenario. And if you find yourself using that a lot, maybe, and you don't realize, it's quite a possibility that maybe you do have some traits of OCD, but especially it's when it gets so bad that it interferes with like everyday life, and it really becomes hard and a factor in how you're kind of navigating life. It can really take over, and I think it's important to get it early, when you think you're going down that hole of repetitive thoughts and images. I often feel like I'm stuck on a thought. It'll be going round and round. So stuck in a mud, it does feel like that. You're just stuck, and thoughts are sticky. They don't seem to go away. But that obviously leads us then into a cycle, of feeding it. And unfortunately, when we get involved with those thoughts and those images or whatever, it feeds a cycle. So you just end up going back round in a circle. And when you really understand it a bit more, you can kind of understand why that happens, because you're feeding it. You kind of, and I know it's hard. It's so hard to resist that being sucked back in again. Those hooks, they hook you in. I know my psychologist taught me a lot about the hooks, just hooking you in. These little hooks that just hook you, like even the back way. If they can't seem to get around that way, they'll find another way to hook you in. So those little hooks, that's definitely something I'm going to discuss about more. And it just feels like a loss of control. They're extremely repetitive, the thoughts, images, and people with OCD, I think that's the difference between someone with OCD and without OCD. People with OCD are bothered by them, they're very aware of them, and whereas someone else might have the same thought and just go, just random thought, but then people with OCD, they tend to, that filter where people just throw it out, we tend to get stuck. We get stuck and like they hook us in. So that's what it's about. That's the difference. Alongside the obsessions, the typically is fear. And again, that just feeds that it's uncertainty and doubt. Uncertainty is a big thing with OCD. It's so hard. You just want absolute knowledge and certainty that whatever, maybe this won't happen or this, and we can't have that. And I think as someone with OCD, it's hard, not to have that certainty with anything. And, and things, then you'll maybe get into some kind of cycle just to make yourself feel better about that. You'll feel the need to carry out a compulsion, and it has to be a certain way for a certain amount of time. These are heavy things, heavy things like, I need absolute certainty that this won't happen. It's so easy to get then sucked into these like little rituals that we do. I know mine often were touching things for a certain amount of time. I'd have to do little tapping things with, I don't know, light switches, or I'd have to sit up and sit down from the chair. That was more when I was younger. Those are the ones that really stick out to me. I had to do like little routines in different orders. I remember like tapping all my dolls and toys in the room because I had to do it like that every night before I went to bed. And I got so distressed so many times because I'd make myself do it over and over and over again. And it's just, I look back on it and I can see it's irrational. And that is the thing. There's no rational kind of perspective with OCD. It's just so the opposite, irrational. And OCD, it does affect, I think it's 2.5% of the general population. And it's, it sounds like a small number but it's a lot of people, and, it's a lot of people that are struggling, and it'd be great if and I think we've come a long way. I think we've definitely come a long way in treating it and understanding it better. And I think that's, as long as we carry on that route, maybe there will be a cure or a kind of recognition of what works the best for it, because I think for a long time, I know I was discussing a trial, not long ago actually, a trial for a new medication, and it didn't work out in the end. It just, something had to line up. I had to, and I couldn't do the trial. But there was saying that there's not really been any new medication for OCD in a long time. I think it's over 20 years or something. And that just shows you, it's not had that kind of change. There's definitely needs a change, and maybe recognizing what actually it is that causes that kind of missing link with the thoughts and kind of the rational kind of understanding of when we have an intrusive thought. So, and I know there's something I'll get into a lot more detail, but that there does seem to be some understanding of what it might be. So that'd be interesting to see if any new medications or therapy, come out of what works, because I think it's the medication side of things that I think is lacking, that we need, because a lot of the medications obviously have side effects. And so it'd be great news if we do actually get some kind of advancement with treatment like that. So watch this space, I guess. We'll see what happens. So what OCD is is it's time consuming. You know, it takes up a lot of our time, whether it be physical compulsions or mental compulsions. The physical ones, doing everything in order, can go on and on. It can go round and round. Or then you might have the mental compulsions, which has definitely affected me more so in later life. And that is also time consuming, because you can be doing something nice with your family. It interferes with that family life. I can be doing something, I can be out with my family, and I'll have all these thoughts going round, just whirling round and round. And, you're not really enjoying the moment. You're away somewhere getting hooked on these thoughts, and that is time consuming. You're missing out on things, and it's not nice, so yeah, it's definitely taking your time away from things you enjoy as well. So, and going on to what OCD is not, because, people, like I say, they don't always fully understand it. And OCD is not a choice. You can't pick and choose when you have it. It literally will take over your life. And I think that has been fundamental with me recognizing in my own children, and again, it's going to be a topic with kids, because I've recognized things with one of my daughters, and I saw it happening. I heard the compulsions, and and I told her about it, explained the best way to kind of deal with that, because I noticed she was doing these compulsions and I could regularly hear it. So I could hear what she was doing. So yeah, it can take over. And I think I just got in there soon enough for her to recognize what was happening, what it was. If she didn't herself, she wasn't aware. It's funny because she's not really completely aware of the physical stuff, the physical things I used to do. So it's not something she's picked up off me. But it could be genetic. And that's, again, a topic which is worth looking into, because I really do feel it is genetic as well, because it's definitely in my family. Not everyone, but it's there. And OCD is not fun. It's not quirky. It's not like a cute label we give ourselves. And it is quite the opposite for the genuine sufferer of obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not fun. It really isn't. It's the complete opposite. It's just distressing. It's overwhelming. It can be life destroying. It can really take you to some really dark places, and I'd hate anyone to feel like that, to feel like I've felt, and if I can help anyone just understand and know that they can get better, I'll be so happy that I could do that for someone, and it's also with OCD, it's not being neat and tidy. That is just not what it is. You hear it so many times, like I said, and this is probably where it's most misused these days. It's in the modern society, we'll say, oh, I love everything being tidy. Oh, I'm really OCD. And it really is not that. It's a term. It's not a term for being a neat freak. It's not a term you use for that, because liking something just so is because you like it that way. But doing it because it has to be that way, that is when it crosses the line to OCD. It has to be that way, or something bad might happen, and it's distressing. It just interferes with your life, and that's the big, sign that it's gone beyond, liking something that way. It has to be, you have to do it that way. It just takes over, so that is a big thing, because I think, like I say, in modern society, it's misused so many times. I think even celebrities, might use it, and because they have a lot of followers, again, it's pushing that kind of the wrong narrative of OCD out there. People will hear that and think, yeah, I'm like that, and it's just putting out the wrong message. And I don't blame anyone for doing it, because they don't understand it, and that's fine. There's so many things I don't understand about other things. So, and it's just about education, I guess, and kind of letting everyone explore what it really means. So I hope this video has explained that a bit better. I can't wait to discuss more things that have helped me, and hoping that I can help you. So stay tuned, watch more of my videos, and I'll see you soon.